Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Voices of Tech. Our guest today, another founder of a rising AI company. We have Mark Kerzner. Mark, how you doing?
Doing great, Santiago. And how are you?
Doing well. Just came off the holiday weekend. So as you said, itching to get back to business. And Mark, for the listeners who aren't familiar with you and your company right now, would you mind elaborating on both of those?
Yes, my name is Mark Kerzner. I come from Russia, but I am a Texan for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
And my company, it started by teaching people how to do AI. And then it realized that much as it's fun to teach, it's much more fun to do. And so that's what we started doing, essentially doing AI implementations.
Nice. And this is for your current company, correct?
Yes, called SCIA, which means Scalable Artificial Intelligence.
Nice.
And who invented that name? That's my wife. And because she invented that name, I get a green light on anything that I do with that company.
There you go. Hey, it sounds like we needed to have a second guest on here, the other brains of the business.
Yeah, but she won't. She won't. She prefers to study art. That's her main thing.
Hey, no worries. Well, you and me, we're the AI guys. So
Okay.
that's awesome. And so with SCIA, what problems were you seeing, Mark, that were in the market that kind of came you to found this company?
Well, I saw exact problems. I knew what the problems were, but I
Mm-hmm.
only understood what they really were when I studied the competitors. And these were great competitors. So after a webinar, I realized that I'm in the market that is called IDP, which means Intelligent Document Processing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that kind of market, it tells by itself what it means. But it only became really nice and workable and interesting with AI. I'll give
Okay.
you a simple example. Let's say somebody sends you a paycheck. So it's a paycheck, but it can take any kind of shape and form. So if you want to automate paycheck processing, and what you had to do before 2023 would be train a certain software to recognize that check. And then a new check comes in, looks different, breaks your training, you train another one, and on you go. With AI, you can just say you probably recognize checks, and so you understand it. Yes. And that is what it does for you now, AI. What you need to do is what do you really do with the numbers? Let's say you process them for statistics. So you just tell it, you know what it is. What is it? It's check. So process, get all the information out of that, and then we'll do something. Like one example that the competitor said they want to do is recertify all of the food stamp recipients.
Wow.
They don't say how many, but I would assume 30 to 50 million. And all kinds of documents are required. So the best solution will come from AI, how to do it.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true.
Don't call it food stamps, it's now called SNAP.
Yeah.
The new thing is called SNAP. That's an example of what you can do. Now, I happen to I help the legal departments of different organizations, and that's what I do for them. That kind of automation of processing that was never possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of in the same business, Mark. I help
Mm-hmm.
companies scale up, get more clients with AI without adding headcount. And so what kind of departments does your company serve the best right now?
Well, we work for lots of district attorneys in
Gotcha.
a certain state, but I will not even mention the state and not the district attorneys because they tell me that once you mention, you're out. You have
Mm-hmm.
to work your part quietly. That's whom we help. We also help lawyers to process their documents that call e-discovery. And I remembered another one. Document researchers. Let's say you're a journalist and you got some interesting dump of documents. So you're lazy to read it and it makes no sense to try to read all of them, but there are some juicy pieces of information there. AI for the rescue.
There you go. There you go. And so, what are these clients, what are they saying when they use your company, like before they worked with SCIA and after?
A good question. Before they say, Mark, we tried all the intelligent quote unquote approaches. None of them work because every time you have to retrain your model. And I have to say a little bit about myself. I test
Yeah.
very well. But what they would say is that, and every time there is a bug, we almost debug it in the meeting with the client. That's not nice. With AI, it's much better, and AI tests it and debugs it, and it's much more polished. At that point, it really becomes usable, because up
Yeah.
until now, was not really practical.
No. No. 100%. And no, we're seeing AI make a lot of different waves in a lot of different organizations.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, it really is incredible. And so, what is kind of the common hurdle that people are coming to you with when they want to integrate AI into their business?
Well, in my case, they say, yes, I know AI, but some of them come with, I don't know AI, because
Mhm.
I also run the educational company.
Yeah,
And that educational company called Elephant Scale, which is a funny story how we became Elephant Scale. We were
yeah,
Hadoop, if you remember how Hadoop had an elephant as a logo. So when they said, cannot call your company Hadoop or we will sue you, then we renamed ourselves into Elephant Scale. So we teach people how to do Elephant Scale, how to do AI, how to use AI. And then they say, well, can you do what you teach? That's how it all works together. And first we teach, then we do.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm curious, because in my business, in my relationship with AI as a whole, it's completely for the marketing and the lead generation aspect.
Hmm.
And I gotta say, the results for my clients who integrate AI versus the people who are doing everything manually, it's a night and day difference, right? I mean, with AI, teams can work with 4 or 5 people and get the results of what used to need a 20-person team. So, in your experience, where can AI best be implemented into a business?
Well, let us say somebody knows ChatGPT. Today he can type just chat.com and
Yeah,
drop his documents there. Seemingly, it's problem solved. But then he finds out there are limitations. Limitations of the number of documents and then the quality of documents. I'll tell you a nice trick that I invented. But
nice.
before that, well, people discovered that they shouldn't give these documents to ChatGPT in the first place because there are leaks and there are agreements that you sign. That's where it becomes real. And
Hmm.
they realize they need to process much more than they thought, and they need to be much more secure than they thought. And that's where the people begin to make, in other words, the tire hits the road at a
Oh, yeah,
certain point. And that's where we work on that. We
nice,
have been working on my software platform for 12 years before AI, well before AI, and that I was working on e-discovery. And that was fun enough because that was the time of Hadoop, that was time of scaling up. But when AI came, now you can do everything much, much better. In fact, my life became different because before any new request, I panic, I don't know what to do. I get an email, I don't know what to answer. Now everything comes from AI.
yeah,
He's on my side. I can answer any email, I can give any offer. In other words, life is great. Plus the programming, it helps me program. So I do run a pretty big outfit with AI and with very few
nice,
people.
nice. Yeah, and with AI and kind of the direction it's taking, we've you and me, Mark. I mean, we've seen major improvements in the industry, but we're working directly in this industry, helping clients learn it. A lot of people, their knowledge of AI is mainly just Chat GPT
And
and
even
different.
ChatGPT, they say found a bug. He fantasizes. Yeah, that's true. But that's because you didn't put into the instruction that don't invent facts. In other
Yeah,
words, the
exactly.
basic discipline is also lacking. That's why they come to learn. And then they
Exactly.
cannot automate it. That's why they come to automate it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm curious, because obviously we're kind of at the beginning of what we're
Hmm.
just tapping into with AI and how it can really help businesses. So, from your experience, where is AI most limited in its support for organizations?
Well, I know where it is limited.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean that it is limited in support for organizations.
very
Where
true.
it is limited, it's not that smart. Now, I have to say the wrong thing. I happen to be smart. So I know
Hmm.
what really smart is, and it's not there. Where? Let's try to do philosophy. He completely doesn't get philosophy. He
No.
doesn't get Kabbalah. He doesn't get very complicated stuff. But he is excellent at supporting organization. Here, just the opposite. All practical things he knows. Theoretical things, it leaves to me. So, is there a limit for where to use it in the organization? I don't know such limit so far.
Yeah,
Where it needs help is you need to teach people who use it how to use it. That I think is the
exactly.
biggest problem.
Exactly. And so, if you had any advice for someone who knew they had a problem in their business, wanted to learn more about AI, but doesn't know where to start, what advice would you have for that person, Mark?
I have a great advice. Start using it anywhere, because I had a lot of people who would think, of course they're using it, and now they're asking question, I don't know how. Well, it turns out that they haven't started. They're just thinking, how could I use it? Just start. Start
Yeah.
and you immediately will know what to do, and start with that exact question. How should I use you? And it
Yeah.
will tell you. In other words, it's a reflective pattern, so to say.
Yeah.
Question number one, look at the answer, understand it, change yourself. That's the next question.
I love it. I love it. And Mark, I
Well, by the
really,
way, maybe I should mention one more thing. I'm
yeah,
running a weekly webinar every week where I
beautiful.
discuss all new technologies for 3 years already. All the new technologies that I saw and tried, and I show you how it works. It's mostly very technical. It's not for everybody. So my audience is about 25, 30 people.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how every week I have something to talk about. Every week there is some new technology, some new course, and it's about 100 courses. They don't overlap. They're all
Yeah.
different. It's an amazing thing.
Perfect. Perfect. So, what you can do, Mark, is you can send me a link for that and I can put it in the description of this video. So,
Okay.
if you're listening and you want to hop on Mark's weekly
Yeah, we
technology
have
course,
a
yeah, well, the link will be in the description of this video down below.
we have.
But I'm interested, Mark. A lot of people have a lot of different perspectives on AI, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
really interested to hear yours because the way you talk about AI, you very much personify it. You call it a him, a you. So, do
And
you
that's
see a
because somebody came to my webinar and called it a she, and a certain female was very upset. It's not a she, it's an it. Nobody minded when you call it a he. So yes, people personalize it. My wife says you believe it more than you believe me.
yeah,
Right. But I do have some practical questions. Let me try a very simple practical question. So when I studied this market that I happen to be in, IDP, Intelligent Document Processing, and the first fact that you find out, it is $6 billion market. Well,
sheesh,
looks a lot. But with the AI companies trying to justify investments of $500 trillion market,
yeah,
you see the question that some people ask. They ask, it's a bubble because it's a $5 billion tool or market with the $500 trillion tool that doesn't fit. But I don't think so. I think that the AI is here to stay. It won't bubble, won't blow up, but people will find a way how to match and how to use it. You cannot live without AI nowadays. And the famous statement is from Andrew Ng. Andrew says that it's not that AI will take out programmers, it's programmers who use AI will take out those who don't.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and we're already seeing that with tools like Cursor and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Mark, and I was curious why you personified it, because I wanted to know your kind of perspective on it. Do you see a more and you kind of already answered this, but
Yes.
I was kind of looking to jump into it a bit deeper. But do you see AI more as an agent and something that can act autonomously in an organization, or do you see it as a tool that the right employee can leverage to optimize their work?
So the choices are either the employees know how to use it and they can optimize their work,
Yeah,
or what would be the other choice?
more so that it replaces the employee and that it works on its own.
That's a trillion dollar question, right?
Mhm.
So I'll tell you right away, I personally see it as a partnership. In
Okay.
fact, I coined this PAI, partner with AI. That's what I see. Now, some people think it will outsmart us and take us out of the game. That's a philosophical question to predict the future. Practically, I think it's a partner and it is here to stay and not to kill us out. So practically, that's what I see is going on. If that was your
Nice.
question.
Yeah, yeah, kind of, more or less. But yeah, one second. Um, okay, yeah, for sure. And then, Mark, we're already seeing big differences in the companies that use AI and the companies that don't. So, would you
Yes.
say with the impact that we've seen already, would you say it optimizes more organizations on a more macro level or individuals on a personal level? Where are you seeing the biggest improvements?
That is also a great question, but I don't see one against the other.
Gotcha.
Again, to use Andrew Ng's advice, you want to introduce AI to organization, you take all of them, all of the teams, and teach them the basics of AI to start with. Because together with individual education will come organization transformation, much as it sounds very official, but I think that is very true.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I kind of like to end it on this, Mark. We're already seeing the gap with AI right now. So where
Yes.
do you see that 5 years from now? Where do you see kind of the world going?
That's one question that I have no answer at all, because 5 years from now, at the speed of development that we're having right now, it's like 5,000 years from now,
Yeah.
maybe more. It's just impossible because every week I'm teaching something new, and that's every week, every day. What to say about 5 years? But it's a nice movie. Imagine yourself at a very interesting movie. You're watching, it's going faster and faster and faster. Where will it be? Very interesting. Let's watch.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be tuning in. Uh, and Mark, if I'm listening to this podcast and I liked what you said and I want to get in touch with you or your team, what would be the best way to do so?
Well, my company is SCIA.ai. So you can go to SCIA.ai, which means Scalable Artificial Intelligence. That's one way. And if you see my name, Mark Kerzner, there are only two people on LinkedIn who are called Mark Kerzner.
Yeah,
One of them is a real estate guy in Canada. That's not me, because I'm in Texas and I'm in technology. That's
exactly.
very easy, either this or that.
Exactly. You might get confused with me though, because I'm in Texas and I'm in technology too. So there you
That's
have
okay.
it,
We look
Mark.
different though. Yeah.
Nah, we got the same smile over there. But thank you so much for being a guest on the show, Mark. Like you said, if you want to get in touch with him or his team, the business is SCIAAI, so you can find their website there. But nonetheless, Mark, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you, Santiago. Was very nice to meet you.